Okay, and here we go.
Yeah.
Wow, you sound disappointed. You want to tell people why you're so disappointed
Yeah,
right
so what happened is that, this week's episode won't have video. Unfortunately, I'm really sorry, our Patreon members, that this is going to be our first time to break our promise, what happened is that my laptop was submerged in water, in salt water, by the way. So it's unlikely that I can recover data or even the laptop. So we had to set up all the things that we've been doing on a laptop that is not mine, or the other that we haven't used at all for this podcasting. So we barely set up for audio.
So
anyway,
the quality
yeah.
sounds a little bit different. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's why we don't have the video this time around.
Yeah.
But it works out pretty well because we're looking like shit anyway. So
Yeah.
you don't want to see us all the time. Got to mix it up.
Yeah.
We have some cool captions and a still picture and a follow along karaoke style.
Right. So
today we're going to talk about, what are we talking about?
martial arts.
Martial arts.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
The ancient ones foretold of this podcast episode in which we would discuss our ancient secrets of fighting.
Yeah. I mean, it's a vast subject also, right? But I guess you can put under the category of training, motivation, I guess they are not super unrelated. But you growing up actually learning martial arts, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Different styles depending where I was living, just because of all the travel. So
Right.
instead of Kajin Kempo, some Taekwondo, and then Tukong as well, and then wrestled in high school. So I've had I'd say a well-rounded experience of going through a lot of different styles and learning, and by no means an expert, but also not an amateur, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's been some years since I've trained.
Right.
Like 10 years.
True.
But you've been training Muay Thai very frequently for the last few years.
Yeah.
And then starting up again recently, as
Right.
we talked about.
Initially, I started kickboxing, not Muay Thai, in Korea when I was right after high school. Because right after high school, we moved to the city called Suwon, south of Seoul, adjacent to Seoul. And I briefly talked about this, but anyway, I'm not going to really go in detail. But we moved there. I started training kickboxing with this really short, stocky coach. He was old at the time. I think he was in the 40s, and he was a heavy smoker. But I trained kickboxing for 3 years until I went to the military, and then kind of stopped there. And then in the U.S., 2000, I think 17 or 18, I started training again. And then I got injured because I was climbing and doing Muay Thai and lifting at the same time.
Doing all three at once, pretty much all the same day.
Yeah, and like I said, the biggest mistake was that I would training. I would climb, and on the same day I would do my back workout. Very heavy. So that was stupid, I guess.
And you're a big guy, bigger than you are now. I mean, you're still big, but you're not. We were heavy back then.
Yeah, I was really heavy. Yeah, you were as well, right? I mean,
yeah.
you were close to 200 pounds, right?
Yeah, around there.
And then we saw the picture of you the other day, right?
I was like, whoa,
massive difference.
Very strange to see. It's like, wow, I was jacked, But
it was miserable days. Not for me. I think it was miserable for you because you didn't really enjoy the eating part.
No, I hated it. I mean, you remember what I brought into lunch every day?
Yeah.
Pound of turkey, 2 cups of rice, and a can full of black beans.
Yeah.
This was my lunch every day.
Yeah.
And I would just sit there and eat it because I wanted to get big.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It makes me feel disgusted to even think about.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Fucking just Tabasco sauce on that turkey, the way the fat congeals. Oh, it's like slimy. Oh, I hate it.
I mean, to be fair, you chose the worst, ingredient.
Yeah, that's true.
Because back then, I would eat like burritos all the time, because high carbs, high protein, which I needed to bulk up and maintain the muscle mass. So to me, it was heaven. I mean, I would eat burritos all the time.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what was wrong. I guess I just didn't have as.
Don't get me wrong. Your diet was very efficient.
Yeah,
very efficient, highly efficient.
But not enjoyable or sustainable. I mean, it was sustainable. I did for a long time, but I don't think any sane person would put themselves through that again.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the first time I think I saw you kick was when we went to the gym in Austin, the fancy kind of elitist
the fancy
gym.
one. Yeah, they have a new name now because they were bought by this huge fitness company. It's a Lifetime, something like that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
They own it.
Yeah, so downtown Austin, right next to the Whole Foods, there's this upscale gym. I remember we went there.
It's $100-something, right, a month?
Yeah. For the U.S., in a major city.
Well, let's not forget. And then that was right after we started moving together. We were roommates at the time in downtown Austin, and we specifically chose that gym because there were a lot of. Let's not forget that part, buddy.
Is that like scumbags? Yeah, there was a lot of attractive people that went to that gym.
A lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the facility was cool, too, because it was upstairs. It was kind of warehouse, brick, a lot of open window, factory kind of style.
And people who are more serious about fitness, right?
Well, except for that one Indian dude that was...
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Any gym has those, weirdos.
Yeah.
But on average, they had a lot of serious...
Yeah. No, some big, very athletic people in there.
Yeah.
Women and men. But yeah, that was the first time I think I saw you actually kick the bag, and I knew you did kickboxing and you trained and all those, but you had a really hard kick. And I was very surprised because most people that say they did martial arts or they trained, they went and they did it, but they were never effective or actually know how to strike or really do anything surrounding, especially in the U.S. because the culture is full of. It was at one point. I'm sure it still is today. A lot of these kind of McDojos, they just pop up everywhere.
Still there are a lot.
Yeah, they're in strip malls. There are these really overweight, out of shape white dudes, middle-aged, teaching martial arts, with no background or really no context as to how they even arrived to the place to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I ran into a lot of those. I trained at them. I saw people that got through them. And just most of those guys are totally inexperienced. And so you kind of take it with a grain of salt when you hear somebody in the U.S. say, oh, yeah, I did martial arts. It's kind of like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess.
Right.
Sure you did, buddy. Not
sure,
to mean that in a demeaning way, but it's just something that you don't usually see from a lot of people. Like, you don't get a lot of opportunities where you're going to see somebody actually put that into practice.
True.
How many people running around getting in fights, or how often is there a punching bag or something like that around where you can actually see, oh shit, this person knows how to strike.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And when you had joined Muay Thai, I guess I had just been doing climbing primarily. Because I went to one Muay Thai class with you. I remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you?
Or was that a boxing class?
Boxing class.
We
went to boxing class together.
Yeah. Oh, we went to a couple boxing classes, actually.
Yeah, we just wanted to try out their program and pick a place. And the only place I remember is that was it in Cedar Park? It was pretty far. Yeah, it was pretty far. And then the training itself was good. The guy was really knowledgeable. He was an actual boxer, but it was kind of too far. That's why we didn't go there.
You remember how hard it was?
Yeah, it was hard.
They made us run right at the
Yeah.
start, and all at that time, all we were doing, like we mentioned before, was
Yeah.
pretty much just bulking and weightlifting.
Mhm.
We'd play basketball every now and then when we
Yeah.
went to the gym, but it
We hadn't been
wasn't
doing any cardio.
no cardio.
Mhm.
And the first thing we did was immediately had to run for it was probably
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes.
It was
Not long, but
it was a shock. It was a shock to our body.
Oh my goodness,
you know?
it was rough. It was so rough. And honestly, the rest of the class wasn't bad, right? You know, the striking, hitting the bags.
Mhm.
But I remember we got in the ring,
Mhm.
and you're sparring with that one guy,
Yeah.
and he got upset. He got heated because you
Yeah.
were tagging him.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. Yeah.
he tried to start swinging really hard.
Yeah.
And it was just, you kind of would expect more respect when you're going into a new school, and people, I don't know, that have been trained there for a long time shouldn't be so hot-headed. And then I felt
Yeah.
bad because they paired me with the one girl who had a fight upcoming.
Yeah.
You remember that? They're like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, she's got a fight upcoming, so you spar with her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I actually know how to spar. You know, I kept hitting her in the face. I'm like, this is not, what
No
are you
mop
guys
face.
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Yeah, that's a little crazy, dude. I mean, it shouldn't be. I don't know. This is just my opinion. Sparring is, yes, of course, is effective in many ways, and then is there are a lot of benefits. But let's not even go there. But in my opinion, I think it really should be up to the student,
Yeah.
especially based on their skill levels, right? I mean, if you're a newcomer, you're not gonna. I don't think they should spar right away. You know, they should have all the basic techniques and things like that. Established first, and then spar, right? I mean, from there, whether or not it should be their choice, yeah. I mean, that can be up to the owner of the gym for sure. But like newcomers shouldn't be like the beginners. It shouldn't be doing sparring. No.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense because
Doesn't make any sense because yes, you still can learn from it. Especially psychological part, but you're missing out on a large part, which is applying your techniques, testing your techniques, but you don't have any techniques. So what are you doing? Just getting punishments, right?
yeah.
And that's fine. Like I said, there's still things to learn from it, but not a lot, not in a meaningful way.
Yeah. I mean, the other problem is that, especially when you don't have the skill set, not only does it open you up to risk of injury, if you're fighting somebody less experienced, right? They may not know how to restrain or, fight you in a wholesome manner. And also for the person who's sparring with somebody who's new, they also don't know how to control their body. Especially when you get into martial arts and you're adding kicks and like maybe various grappling techniques and things of that nature. They can be dangerous. They can accidentally break your nose, hurt you, that they don't realize. So I totally agree. I think sparring is, like you said, it's for the application of the skills that you've honed, and then refining them,
right,
and how you can apply them in that type of situation.
Exactly.
And most people, honestly, you're not ready for that for 6 months to a year, depending on your level of training. Some people faster than others, some people slower than others. But I mean, the guys that practice the skill, whether it's the jab, the roundhouse or whatever, and then really get that masterfully down, they're going to have way better time when they go spar for the first time because it's not going to be unfamiliar.
Right.
They're not going to be hesitant to throw it. Like, there's something to rely on, that skill set they can fall back on. Well, I know how to jab. Maybe I don't know how to like gauge distance, work the ring and things like that, but it's still much better than the guy who's just going in there flowing, because then you build bad habits as well. That's something that's often overlooked. If you skill, you drill sparring 1,000 times or drill a punch 1,000 times, but you're doing it wrong way, guess what? You just wasted your entire time, and now you have to unlearn all that shit.
Which is very hard. Unlearning is very hard, and that's why they try to establish the basic skills correctly instead of moving forward quickly. Because yes, jabbing is not that hard. I mean, if you can learn pretty quickly, but jabbing in the best perfect way is different from also jabbing in a sparring. You may be able to do that. There are different levels of jabbing. There skills, application of skills. You may be able to jab correctly. I mean, beautifully on a heavy bag or pads. But when you're doing sparring, your jabbing could completely just gone because you don't know like how to react to, incoming punches and incoming, opponents. It's a completely different story. So I don't know where I was going with this, but that's why establishing basic skills correctly is very, very important.
Yeah, and then also be able to, especially with kicking and things of that nature, trying to master both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in martial arts, I always favored my right leg. I mean, even to this day, my right leg is, if I'm going to go kick somebody and, I'm trying to hurt them, definitely going to, it's going to be with my right leg, not my left leg.
Right.
And my left leg just feels like the retarded, stupid brother in comparison to my right leg. It's like, oh, come along, guy. Here we go. We're going to do kicks. You remember those, right? Yeah. So it's so easy to just lean into one side that you're more natural with and then hamper yourself down the road. Because it's
very common. Yeah,
it happens to a lot of people. They say, it's kind of old adage, but spend twice as long as you're training on your dominant side, on your non-dominant side, to get that same level of skill set. Yeah. And there's been martial artists I've trained with that really took that to heart. And when you spar with those guys, they switch stances or whatever. You're like, fuck it, like, they're just as fast and as good on that leg, and you have to pay attention to both feet and what they're doing. Same with the hands, and it really puts you more on the defensive and very aware of how you should, navigate that fight with that individual or that sparring session.
Yeah, it makes you more unpredictable as an opponent. When you can use both sides on the same level. Yeah, I mean, it becomes a lot more unpredictable. Yeah, because you don't know which side is coming.
Yeah. So I mean, we grew up watching tons of martial arts movies, and being inspired, influenced by a lot of these big figures that we considered, a lot of like childhood heroes like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, all basically the action stars. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Rob-Claude Van Damme? Why do you call him that? No.
Wait a second.
Kickboxer.
Jang? What is this?
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jean-Claude Van Damme. I don't know why. Bloodsport? I'm like, come on.
Bloodsport, yeah.
These great movies. Yeah, you see them doing these perfect splits. They're just going through the punches, and there was just so much rich history in cinema tied to martial arts and kind of this Eastern philosophy of spiritualism and there's like this mystical power attached to it. Yeah, which I think was very impactful for why I wanted to study martial arts from the get-go, because it kind of had that like cool vibe to it. Yeah, and I feel like we've definitely shifted from that, at least in mainstream media, of like the cool martial arts action hero to the more. Now it's kind of like the CIA agent or the military trained guy, and then with obviously the UFC getting as big as it has, a lot more people that are interested in jiu-jitsu and that type of striking. But I feel like one of the biggest components missing, like we've talked about before, is kind of the philosophy attached to martial arts, which to me is even way more valuable than even the physical practice, or it makes the physical practice actually valuable when it's in tangent with it.
Yeah, I mean, it really serves as foundation of your physical training, because I wrote this a long time ago when I wrote about martial arts, why martial arts is better than just, I mean, I wouldn't say better, but how it is different from just conventional or modern day fitness industry, is that they emphasize those philosophical part of training. Again, dojo, which is also tojang in Korean or even Chinese, is the same thing. It's just different pronunciation. Is the way of a place. So they practice both physical and psychological part, mental part together. It was not separable. Yeah. That's why they called the place gym, basically the place they were trained, a place of a way.
Yeah, I mean that changes entirely the way you would think about the gym.
Yeah, 100%. And then, like Muay Thai, for example, and a lot of different martial arts, especially the old ones, they were initially, most of them, or a lot of them, were designed to kill people, develop skills to kill people, that can be used in war and things like that. And then when you teach people essentially the skills to kill another human being, if you omit the philosophical part, then it's really hard to justify your learning killing skills, right? That's why I think they emphasize the philosophical part, that okay, this is why we're doing this.
Yeah, it sets a precedence.
Yes.
And on that note of setting precedences, sorry guys, but unless you're a Patreon member, this is where the the free version ends. And it's just now we're already 20 minutes in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's going by quick.
Okay, well, yeah. So we've been doing this since the last episode, right? So we are, putting a proper mark on the end of a free version, right?
Yeah,
so,
just so you guys don't feel like you've been dropped out randomly of the loop.
Yes.
But we thank you for listening, and check out the Patreon. It only is $5 for the full version. You get the full audio.
Yeah.
And then you can check us out on any of your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Acast. I don't think anybody uses Acast, but we have it.
Right.
And please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and we'll get back to you. Okay,
yeah.
Let's cut
Thank
over
you
to the
guys.
free one. Okay, so you were saying, though, that, I think there's a large factor into if you're going to have to kill somebody, you need some pretty good reasons to do that. And, obviously you need training as well. So they kind of helped bridge that gap into understanding and teaching also the value of life, because there's a lot of styles that emphasize a lot of Buddhist teachings or, Hindu teachings, varying philosophies about the time and place to actually use martial arts in the application. And almost martial arts can also be a tool to tame the body, right? It's where the spirit also becomes master over the self.
Yeah.
It's like part of that.
Yeah.
And there's, as we talk about all the time with training, very, very much with martial arts and that type of training, though, you do gain a sense of mastery over your physical self. Once you realize how incapable and how dumb your body is.
No.
You pick up a weapon you've never used before, something like the nunchucks, bro, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to realize, oh, fuck, my body does not do anything I want it to. And it takes a lot to learn anything, even like basic punches, like you said before. Yeah, you might be able to throw a punch perfectly on a pad or to the air. Yeah. But how much does that change when you're, go fighting against somebody or you're in a weird
it's moving
setting?
Target, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's like...
Who's anticipating your jab?
Yeah, they know. They know you're trying to hit them. Changes the circumstances entirely.
Yeah.
And again, it speaks back into that kind of spiritual, philosophical principle that, like you said, the truth is a moving target, and it's something that has to be continually done. The process is never finished. Yeah. It's this continual thing, this like refining of yourself, your discipline, your mental, your spirit, and your body, because you need all of them. They all need to be in balance. A lot of the martial arts talks about balance deeply, and that's to me the bummer about the UFC and just the way combat sports are going in general, is that they're completely detached from the spiritual aspect. And again, I use that word just because I have a lack of a better description. Philosophy is probably the better word choice. But when you have a philosophy, it doesn't only affect the way you train. It affects every other area of your life.
Yeah, of course, they're not separable. That's the whole point of, calling the place dojo. Yeah. It's your way of life. It's not just a way of your physical capacity or ability. It's a way of your life. Yeah, and that changes. You're a different person because of that. You also learn how to use the tool that you become. Like your body becomes a tool. Yeah. But not to use it wrongly or poorly. Of course. You're not like going to go start a bar fight. You're not going to be trying to get into fights. Every martial artist I've ever talked to, they always say, the first line of defense is running.
de-escalate a fight.
Yeah.
Avoid confrontation. But when you fight, you must fight. Then you execute flawlessly.
Yeah.
Go for kills and things of that nature. And again, nobody wants to do that. I mean, how many times have you and I gone out and like somebody wants to harass us or kind of pick a fight because they're drunk? It's not anything we did, but you and I just laugh it off. Like, these guys you have no idea. I mean, I don't know who you are, for one, but you're drunk, so you probably, even if you were capable, you're too drunk to even fight.
Right.
And then you have no idea who I am. Like, why would you want to pick a fight with me? Like, what's the point of that? And it's just so easy because you don't have to think of yourself in a way like, oh, my ego has been challenged. Like, I need to fight this guy. Because you have the philosophical and spiritual principles to back. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Like, your ego should not have anything to do with this. So it gives you even the tool sets in that situation to walk away. How you handle so many facets of your life. I think that's the real power of martial arts. The discipline that is applied to more than just the physical application and training. Yeah,
I mean, like modern day fitness, just going to gym and lifting, all that, still have that element of martial arts, right? Discipline, for example, is one of them. Like, you still not have to, but if you, with discipline, you can go further. You can train better. Even lifting gym. But I think where it lacks, like typical this modern day fitness scene, is humility. I think martial arts places huge emphasis on humility. That's a really big part. I mean, when you go to lifting gym, I mean, there's hardly an opportunity for you to feel the humility.
Yeah.
But in martial arts, it's very, very. I mean, it's part of it. Humility is part of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's abundantly clear.
Yeah.
Everything from the way you put on your gi, the way you interface with other people, the language you use. There's so much humility baked into every aspect of it. And again, like, it's easy to go to the gym and just lift some weights and totally be mindless in the application of that. And I think the reason you and I have been successful, even with fitness and the gym, is because we have that background, though. Those values that allow you to pull out more than just working out.
Yeah.
Also, it allows you to, I think, engage in a deeper level.
Yeah.
So that you understand truly why you're there. It's not, oh, I'm just going to get in better shape or aesthetic. And like, again, for some people, even myself, that was the only aims at certain times. But I don't think that's sustainable for most people. You need to be passionate and have like something, an ideology attached to why you're going.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that, it becomes very difficult when it's fucking rainy day or I'm tired, I'm beat. It's really hard to go.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult to go. But when you have that backing of that ideology and those principles and those philosophies about who you want to be, the kind of person that, martial arts oftentimes gives you, it becomes so much easier because you have a lot more to rely on than your physical condition. You temper your spirit. Your spirit is powerful and becomes weaponized in that sense. And you can take advantage and use it. And I just think that's one of the things lacking from the mainstream fitness culture and industry we have in the U.S.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll change, maybe it won't. Maybe that's largely a byproduct of all these McDojos and, these cheesy 80s movies and 90s movies where people are like, oh, this shit doesn't work. You can't fight like that. And I totally agree. You can't just go to martial arts and expect to actually be an effective fighter. Like, there's definitely specific styles of fighting that are way more applicable than others. Yeah. But again, I think the discipline and the philosophy attached to a lot of the martial arts is the real value, the true value.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think I put this in my piece of writing that I mentioned earlier, that humility, some people really don't highly value humility, and I understand because typically humility is more of a thing in the Asian culture than Western culture. And you can even quote some part of Nietzsche that he humility is part of slaves' morality characters, right? But I think it really, it is based on its ability, whether or not the subject has the power or will, And when you do, that's a different story. You're not under the slave morality anymore. Like if you have the strength, if you have power. I think Jordan Peterson also, like, I don't know if he was talking about this in relation to Nietzsche, but he talks something similar about it, that it's better to be a monster, like gentle monster. I don't know exactly what kind of term he used, but it's better to be a monster who can control his power rather than, a prey who doesn't have
any means to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree that there's a lot of false humility, right? Yeah, you can't really be humble if you have nothing to be humble about.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Applying like humility to a lot of our lives where, bro, you have no reason to be humble.
Yeah.
Gain some skills, get better at whatever you're going to do, master your craft, and then be humble about that, for sure.
Yeah.
I think when you actively are choosing to be humble rather than just
exactly,
adopting it because that's the
passive
norm.
humility.
Yeah, like that's fucking, like you said, it's slave morality.
Yeah.
And we all fall into these types of traps depending on where we grew up. There's always going to be some values that we just take onto ourselves like camels, like Nietzsche says. We're just weight-bearing animals of all these burdens that initially we don't realize. And I think there's some very real truth in there that humility is not necessarily a good value to have. It can be, but you also have to be able to accept yourself and present yourself in a realistic way. Because if you're always humble, then you're also kind of like serving your ego in a way that says, I am something that I am not. If you're good at something, like, you don't have to be bragging and over the top about it, but if somebody's like, oh man, you're good,
Yeah.
You don't have to say, no, I'm not, and basically not agree with them. You can just own it and say, oh yeah, man, I appreciate it. I've been doing it for a while. There's still a long ways to go. Because that's always a truthful statement. But we are definitely taught, or it's reinforced in our minds, that I should be like, no, I'm not that good. And in this day and age where you have Instagram and you have all this stuff so readily available to you, you can see people that are, light years away from you, so much better. And so it's, I think, easy to kind of fall into that trap that, oh, I suck, like, just because you're not as good as the very best, which only 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you would have no idea those people existed. Because there's no way you'd ever be able to see that.
Sure.
But getting back slightly on topic with martial arts, what's your favorite punch, kick, or technique?
Oh, in those different categories? Oh, easy. My favorite punch is hook, my left hook. My favorite. Both short and long hooks. Those are my favorites. And when it comes to kick, I like to utilize my lead kick a lot, so my left kick.
So front leg?
Yeah, front leg. I like to utilize my left kick a lot more. Because usually in orthodox standing, if your opponent is also orthodox, then his body is perfectly in at the same angle as perpendicular to trajectory of my left kick. So it's easier to strike that part. I like to utilize my left kick a lot more than my right kick.
I mean, it's a good thing to combo up too with a hook when you're using your front, because it's kind of like I guess it depends if you're throwing dominant hand hook or what, southpaw.
Left hook.
Yeah.
My favorite is left hook.
Left hook?
Yeah.
You're not left-handed, are you?
No.
Wow, that's pretty unusual. Most people have their dominant hand be their,
true
style of striking.
Yeah,
at least.
I've been working on my left hook for a long time,
so you just refined it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good skill set to have. Yeah, front kicks are definitely. I mean, typically, like I'm sure coming from Taekwondo, your front kick is usually your scoring kick, right? Because it's quick, it's right there, it's not as powerful. Don't get me wrong, you can have a powerful front kick, but it's not going to be like when you're using your back leg and turning your hips over, right? There's just so much more force, but way slower.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that you choose a kick that's like.
Oh, no. I wasn't talking about front kick. I was talking about roundhouse kick, but my left roundhouse kick.
Oh, so your left leg in the back, though? Or which stance?
In orthodox stance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, roundhouse kick, but my left side.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's why I was
Not
kind of
the front
surprised.
kick,
I was
yeah.
like, huh, I had no idea. I was like, I never see you throw a front kick. Secret weapon.
Yeah.
If you see it, this is the last time you'll.
Yeah, so like I said, the trajectory of my left lead kick, roundhouse kick, is sort of like a perpendicular to the angle of the body position of my opponent if he's using an orthodox stance.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it is open for me right there. So whether or not, like you said earlier, if you don't have much confidence in your non-dominant side of side kick, then it won't be too effective. But if you have strong enough, lead kick, it could be very, very useful tool during the fight.
Yeah, man. Especially if you kick somebody in the legs.
Because they usually expect your rear kick, because the rear kick is typically the harder kicks. Most fighters expect kicks from the rear kicks, not from the lead kicks.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's never enjoyable getting kicked.
Dude.
It hurts so much more. It hurts so much more than almost anything else. Like any type of kick or knee, I mean, there's just so much more power behind it. Do you have any favorite type of grappling or anything like that? Or
grappling?
Yeah, or anything on the ground?
I don't have much experience on the ground. I mean, you did wrestling. So yeah, I did. Yeah, I almost have no experience on the ground. So yeah, I've done some sessions in judo and wrestling, but that was negligible. I didn't really train.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you've rolled before. The ground is so exhausting.
Oh yeah,
it's unbelievable how exhausting it is.
Yeah,
like a 2-minute round on somebody. You just go 3 rounds. You only exercise for maybe six minutes, and you're dead. And you're drenched in sweat.
Yeah,
and it's. I think the thing I really like about wrestling is that outwardly it doesn't appear to be very complex, and that's initially what I thought too. I just thought, oh, they're just wrestling. There's no really technique there. But once you get into it and you realize how subtle it is, like where you put your hips, how you are trying to take advantage of, get wrist control, face control, whatever it is, there's so much more that goes into it. And it's very kind of dainty and delicate in that way. Like, you're trying to overpower the other person, but the person that's going to be better than you and overpower you is the guy who's going to put his body in the right place to take advantage of leverage.
100%.
Like I told you the other day, there's guys I wrestled that were smaller than me that could just fucking flip me any way they wanted because they knew how to put their weight. If I could get them into a certain lock or something of that nature, then I was strong enough I could hold them there. But it's so easy to get out techniqued on the ground.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And it's so easy to get out gassed.
I mean, wrestling and judo kind of similar in a way that you have to, all those techniques, small techniques, subtleties, play big roles in a fight, in a match. But I think that speaks to the value of the techniques, right? Because, yes, you are strong, but that's another benefit of, I think, wrestling and judo too, that, yes, those fine techniques matter a lot, but also as you train those fine techniques, you develop strength as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
some
huge
of those
benefit.
judo guys are crazy strong.
That's what I heard. I mean, I've never really, felt it in person. I've done judo match with my friends when I was in high school just for fun, but I've never actually did it. I've never done it with a actual judo guy.
Dude, yeah. I mean, when you see those judo guys, you see their forearms. Bro, they're as big as their, actual arms.
Yeah, judo guys are
things rolled up, and you're like, oh my god, that dude's got fucking arms.
They usually have very highly developed chests because they pull a lot.
Squeezing and the.
Yeah, I heard they're on average they're really strong. That's what I heard. I've never felt it again. But
do you think they'll ever come up with a new technique that's currently outdoing basically the, I guess, just the MMA style?
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, it's coming. Yeah, I think. Well, jiu-jitsu especially, they're developing new skills and techniques. I don't know how often, but it's coming out. For example, a few years back in UFC, there was a first twister, submission done by Korean Zombie, Chanson Chung. I'm Korean, I can't even pronounce his name. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna pronounce it in a Korean way. Chung Chansung, the Korean Zombie. He did twister, and that twister, as far as I know, it did not exist in that form, at least. And it was developed by Eddie Bravo.
Can you explain that to the people that probably don't know?
Yeah, sure. So you're basically holding the opponent's legs with your two legs, one leg of your opponent with your two legs, squeezing those, holding down, and then twisting upper body of your opponent using squeezing their head, the top, so your forehead area. You squeeze that part and then, twist it to the opposite direction. So
that sounds horrible.
yeah, there's no way that like rear naked choke, for example, you can just fall asleep, whatever, right?
Yeah.
But that twister, you have to tap. You have to tap out. There's no other way. You're gonna break your spine. Yeah.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Something along the line, pretty severe damage,
Yeah, slip a disc or something.
Yeah.
Jesus, that'd be too intense.
So as far as I know, and then the leg locks are pretty heavy. That's what I was told. I don't know well about jiu-jitsu, but I heard that more and more the newcomers start to utilize leg locks a lot more than before because it's so effective. So yeah, I think new techniques and all those things are still coming out.
It's
being
crazy
developed.
to think about.
Isn't better, right? I mean, new generations always does better in that sense because they extend and develop and improve upon the existing how do you say basis, right? So nothing.
Curriculum grows.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It'll be interesting to see because the style that people choose is like a direct result of the rules of the competition. The round times, the rest times, and then also what's in the zeitgeist. What do people typically train, and what are their styles? So you could very, very much see a different style emerge entirely if the UFC decides to change something about, hey, no more tapping, no more resting. We're just going to knockout or to something like that. I think you would probably have an entirely different type of game. Yeah,
that's another really interesting thing to talk about because when you say that, okay, UFC probably, along with others, I'm not really excluding other organizations here, but it's closer to actual fight, right? You can make that argument, but it's not, right? Because nobody fights, in a fixed number of rounds, in a fixed number of minutes of rounds, in a fixed space. Like, nobody fights like that in reality.
Yeah.
It's open space. It's unlimited time,
Yeah.
So you already kill all those elements, and it makes different fights, But it's close enough, right? I think that's why we say that, it's the best fight in the world, whatever.
Yeah. What do you think that they just buy an open warehouse, like, say 1,000 square foot warehouse, and they just pad it and have just a ref in there, and they just say whoever gets knocked out or submits first. So you have like really good cardio, trying to run away from a guy and then recover.
It's gonna come and catch me if competition. Just one guy keeps running around, the other guy's trying to catch him.
He's just gonna exhaust him. The way fighting will change forever.
Like a cowboy catches a cow with this,
You're just gonna have marathoners.
Yeah, that's gonna be really boring, right? Super boring.
Yeah.
So I think
keep the ring.
Yeah. I think we're doing the right thing. limit the space of fight. But also there's another question even after that, right? A ring or octagon, right? That's why I think UFC heavily favors wrestler because it's an octagon. It's an octagon. They're walls, basically, If it's a ring, like traditional ring, it's a completely different story. That's why all it, in the 90s and early 2000s, early 2000s? Wait a second. Yes, I think so. Pride, and they used a conventional ring. And they had some fights. Even before that, the top guys were not. A lot of them were wrestlers to begin with, and second, some UFC fighters came over to Pride because Pride was a bigger organization back then. It was not the other way around. So UFC guys used to come and make some special fights sometimes, but none of them their winning rate was pretty low. Yeah. So
that does make a big difference because if you can get a guy against a fixed surface, you can take him to the ground, right?
Yeah.
Whereas,
and then after you take your opponent down, you can drag him to the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a completely different story. But in a ring, you can't do that.
No, I mean
only at the corners.
Those are way smaller in a ring. In octagon. Yeah, because when you got somebody fixed against a surface that's not going to move or a structure that's not going to move, you gain a lot more control over that person.
It just changes the entire nature of the fight because we've seen this a lot of times where a guy is a master striker and the other guy is a master wrestler. And because this guy's too good at wrestling, the other guy's just too afraid of getting taken down. He sometimes gets knocked out because he worries too much about takedown and not worried about, or paying attention to punches.
Yeah.
That happens a lot, man. But in a ring, you worry about less, being taken down.
It'd be interesting to see if they would do like separate rounds, so one round in the ring, one round in the octagon.
Yeah, I think that sort of discussion took place for sure, but it's just
inconvenient,
right? Yeah, more than anything. And at least one championship is doing it really better. Not in that, I think they have an octagon as well, but they have a lot more divisions. Like, for example, they have Muay Thai division, and then MMA division. And that's why we saw, that's why we were looking a lot more Thai guys coming to, competing at one championship.
Yeah.
Because they have Muay Thai division with, I think it's that 4-ounce or 3-ounce gloves. The lighter gloves, 6-ounce, I think. So we had this dream match between Rotang, which is probably the most famous guy in Muay Thai world today, young still, and Demetri Johnson. They had a fight where the first round was Muay Thai and second round MMA, and then just alternating like that. But the fight didn't last long. Rotang couldn't finish him. The thing is, Demetri Johnson is not a stranger to striking either. I mean, he used to be considered one of the best pound per pound fighter in the world. I mean, his striking is not by any means an intermediate level. You know what I mean? Rotang he can't just walk him down and finish him. This is not going to work out that way. He's better, yeah, for sure, but the level difference is not that much.
Yeah.
Whereas on the ground, the level difference is huge between them. So he just finished him on the second round. I mean, that's what everybody expected,
Yeah, the second you go to the ground, you don't have any experience, like, what are you supposed to do?
And you gas, easily because you're not efficiently using your energy. You panic, you're trying to just get out of it. We've done it. We've experienced all that, right? Even in climbing, right? When you start climbing for the first time, you're strong as fuck, but like you don't have any skills, right? So you're like wasting energy for the most part.
Dude, left and right, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then when you see somebody do what you're doing, and they do it so gracefully, like they're just basically walking.
Yeah. What is happening?
How the hell is that possible?
Yeah.
And that's the exciting thing about, any skill sport is when you improve, how much easier it feels like. Like that night and day difference of being like, oh, this isn't bad. I mean, even like what you say, running. Once you develop your lung capacity and your legs and you can go a little further, And you realize you're, a decent amount of time into your run. You're not tired. You're not breathing heavy. You're just enjoying the run.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, only a month ago this was sucked.
Yeah, true.
That's an amazing feeling. And once you get that in martial arts too, I think you get another level of confidence.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%.
There's a confidence of knowing like, oh yeah, this dude can't kick my ass. And maybe if they can, like, it's not going to be, this guy can't just whoop my ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you feel much more competent and confident in yourself, even if you were to get in a bad situation.
Yeah. And then we talk about this, benefit of going through difficulties, hardships, right? I mean, when you do martial arts and other sports as well, like, you're actively creating those opportunities, right? Daily, because your daily struggle, especially if you're new to that sport, right? So I think that's why physical training is so important, that we're actively creating those opportunity to go through hardships and difficulties, something that we're not good at, So we have to struggle during those sessions, and we learn and we grow from it, right?
That stimuli is so important, because no matter what happens in life, you're going to have difficult situations. So I think a lot of it boils down to, do you want to choose your difficult situation, or you just want life to throw it at you?
Yeah.
And I would much rather choose it, and to feel, even if it is an illusion to some degree, I would rather feel the illusion of me being prepared, because I consistently expose myself to that difficulty, rather than suddenly have it thrust upon me by life and maybe not know what the fuck to do in that situation or how to handle myself. I think that would be incredibly intimidating. I mean, I can't actually, because I've trained for so long since I was a kid. And again, like, I'm not in fighting shape by any means, but I still feel competent and capable enough to not be worried or stressed out about that.
Yeah.
And I think that carries with you in the way you carry yourself. And other people can sense that. And again, that's not necessarily why you train, but I do think that's maybe like a benefit that a lot of people don't look at. And again, you should never let that kind of attitude or thoughts go to your head, because you never know who you're fighting. Somebody hits you once, weird, you fall and hit your head and you're dead. Like, the shit happens all the time. People end up killed over the stupidest, smallest stuff. So it's almost never worth fighting. So you don't want the arrogance.
Not on the street, never.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to fight, and like, don't get me wrong, you and I both like sparring. Fighting's fun. It's a lot of fun, but never looking to fight when there's actual consequences involved. Like in the ring, maybe a little bit of your pride or who you think you are is involved, but outside your life's not worth fucking an exchange of words or feeling like your feelings were hurt, somebody disrespected you. I'm like, fucking who cares? Walk away. Does it really matter that much? Is it going to matter a week from now? But you want to be trained enough that if somebody, is going to try to hurt somebody you care about, and you guys can't get away, or you come upon a situation that maybe you can step in on, then you're capable. You want to feel confident and sure of yourself in those situations. And you and I both have had those situations where you've stepped into something. And fortunately, nothing ever bad's happened, but it's also a misconception, I think, unfortunately, that they for a lot of women that train martial arts, they think they will be competent and strong enough to combat a dude, which is just not the case. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some outliers, there are, but men are just on average so much stronger than women that you just want to avoid fights. You want to avoid all these situations. Even as a man, you want to avoid those situations.
I mean, on the same level, right? That's what we're talking about. I mean, there are certain sports that strength matters less, but it's never that it matters never. Like jiu-jitsu, for example, like a small girl can tap out a bigger dude for sure. It happens. But if you're talking about that girl versus a guy who's equally experienced, then there's no
comparable.
I mean, it has more chance than other sports, don't get me wrong, but still favors guys if you have the same level of skills and one person has more strength, then that person is more favorable. I mean, it's just that's how it is. Yes, techniques can overcome strength, but strength is the basis of any sports. unfortunately, that's just how it is. And unfortunately, men are stronger because, we have testosterone, a lot more testosterone.
Yeah, bone density.
Hence the bone density, and hence the bigger muscle mass and all that, fiber, better muscle fiber. I mean, that could be a wrong statement, actually. But bigger muscle mass at least, right? So we're just different animals, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, there are outliers, but we're not gonna make a general statement that any woman can beat any man. That's just not the right statement.
Yeah, it's unrealistic.
Yeah. But for all the benefits that we've talked about so far, I mean, anybody should train.
Yes. Yeah, maybe
on a high level.
We talk about, for me, it's climbing that really scratches that itch. It was martial arts for the majority of my life.
Yeah.
But maybe martial arts is something you should go check out, that you'd be interested in studying. Kickboxing, for any of the people out there listening. I think it's a worthy endeavor, like you mentioned, to at least go dip your toe in.
Yeah.
You might really like it. Maybe you have a hard time working out, staying in shape, or just finding the motivation to go exercise.
Yeah.
And if you went and did this, and again, there's places where you don't need to spar.
Yeah.
You can purely have just a...
Yeah, a lot of gyms actually give you an option.
Yeah, or there's other varying martial arts that, Tai Chi and things like that, these softer styles. Yeah, you may not get as robust exercise, but a lot of the discipline, the philosophy, I think it can offer a lot of peace to people.
Yeah.
And again, you can choose the hardship and the burden rather than have life thrusted upon you. So it's something worth heavily considering if you don't have a passion or a love in your life that's physical.
Yeah. And also, one thing that I like to tell people who are about to start new sports or martial arts, especially martial arts, is that it's going to be a really good opportunity for you to find out what you're made of, and then most people will struggle. Don't give up too quickly, because that is very normal. You hit the wall, that's very, very normal. Everybody hits that wall. Yeah. Don't think that you're a loser, or don't think that you're made of just, less things. That's just what everybody experiences at first.
Yeah.
You have to go through it. So I like to encourage people, especially beginners, that hitting the wall is very normal. So be patient. Just like anything, when you learn something new, it's going to be hard. Just keep that in mind. You don't have to have it. You don't have to, think that you're, less than other people.
Yeah. No. I mean, very good advice. Totally agree with those sentiments.
Yeah.
And I think on that note, we're getting close to the end. So maybe we'll give a shout out to our Patreon members like we did last time, because we couldn't do this without you. And we really do appreciate it. We know that money's hard to come by, and that giving it away to a couple strange dudes is probably even harder. So thanks for believing in us. So shout out to Lee, you know who you are. Cass Murray, GG1210, don't know who you are. Rebecca Odell, Sins Wolf, John Milton. And then that Lafayette guy, I guess he's still subscribed.
Weirdo.
Yeah, fucking weirdo. All right, well, thanks, guys. We hopefully will get the video content going again next week, and then Kai's laptop. Hopefully, we'll find a replacement or a way to get all the data back. Figure out something else.
Yeah.
This will do in the meantime. We'll
figure something out. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
100%.
Whoops, I shouldn't have said that.
So close. Nearly the whole podcast without saying it.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a good day. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.